Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first Innovation Break event, Boost ROI and Trust, how AI and automation are transforming sustainable growth. My name is Sarah Osell, and I'm the founder of Anim8 Collective, the agency behind Innovation Break. This is a monthly event series and media channel where we are curating game-changing tactics and resources for data-driven growth, marketing, and sales. You are among leaders today. We have over 95 people who registered when I checked last night, and from a diversity of organizations. You're not alone in dealing with these challenges, and I hope that you all become resources for and support each other. So the headlines lately have been overwhelming, and one thing is for sure right now, this is not fine. Sustainability as a field is an acknowledgement of the earthly and human reality that we're living in. It's not fine to face this much dissent in the progress that we've made, but it is important to face the reality of the disagreements. So with this panel, some of the things we're going to talk about is sustainability as we know it is changing. And all of the panelists that are here today are addressing these challenges. These include data collection for sustainability, green hushing, scaling up communications, and managing our digital footprint, all through AI and automation. We'll also be talking about the challenges that face our human and earth reality. As Sinead Boble recently stated, most of the frontier of AI products right now are coming from one small corner of the United States. AI is a reflection of us, and the values that we hold get embedded into these systems. In terms of resource usage, other leaders are alluding to unprecedented demand for power, water, and materials to support these technologies. And what can be done? Well, we have some experts today to share their learnings. I'd like to welcome to the screen Charlie Martin, founder and CEO of the Anti-Greenwash Charter, T. Ganbold, founder and CEO of Improvability, Adrian Smith, co-founder and CEO of Ripple, and Yorgi Huzik, co-founder and CEO of Carbon Crane. Hi, everyone. Welcome. All right, so as the Harvard, I have first question. As the Harvard Business Review put it, 2024 was a bad year for sustainability. All of you are addressing challenges and critiques of executing on sustainability initiatives, and I'll have you introduce yourselves right now, but please share a challenge that you're solving and comment on how your AI and automation solution is important for the next era of sustainability. All right, Charlie, I think you were gonna go first.
Brilliant. Well, actually, just before I start, I know I've only got a couple of minutes, but I just want to say a big thank you to Sarah for putting together this fantastic event. She has been absolutely brilliant behind the scenes. So I just want to say a big thank you to her. And obviously a big thank you to you guys today for tuning in and joining the conversation, which I'm really excited for. But on to me. I'm Charlie. I'm the founder and CEO of the Anti-Greenwash Charter. We're an initiative that's designed to support and promote organizations committed to responsible sustainability communications. And the way that we do that is through consultancy, training, and verification processes, which help our signatories build confidence in their claims and reduce the risk of greenwashing. Ultimately, our mission is to make our approach the standard for best practice in sustainability communications. So, what's the challenge we're aiming to address with the AI tool that Sarah's encouraged us to come and talk to you about today? Well, we're trying to build trust and confidence in sustainability claims by leveraging natural language processing and machine learning to help our signatories proactively review and improve their content, ensuring accuracy, regulatory compliance, and recognition for anti-greenwashing best practice. And that's essentially a little bit about us. And thanks again, Sarah, for inviting us to join the conversation today.
Yeah. Yorgi, why don't you go next?
Okay. So hi, everyone, and thanks for the invitation. I'm quite excited about what we are going to talk about and what I can hear about you. Guys, we are coming from the sustainability field, more like the AI field. We are dealing with the digital carbon emissions, and we were founded 2 years ago, and we have measured more than 2 million URLs, more than 20 million emails. Our solution has won an international award, being sustainable and effective, and this is where AI can come in. Our methodology has just been validated by the top organization for validation and certification called Bureau Veritas, And we don't just do what we do, but we share our knowledge and experiences with universities. Currently in Eastern, but we hope to extend that to other parts of the world as well. What we do is we are just measuring the digital emission of the digital devices, which usually link to the internet. And one example is like the websites. This is one of the focus of our profession. We measure the carbon emissions, we measure the energy consumption. We have a methodology to estimate the reduction potential without compromising the quality, what you can deliver to your users or to your website visitors. And we are able to give you the context to show your competitors' performance on those fields. And our solution is like 360 degrees, so from the prevention through the monitoring and to the analytics and benchmarks. So actually, this is what we are doing in very short. And our focus is going to be this year on AI as well, because what we see here that there is a huge energy demand that it will bring itself the carbon emissions as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, and did you have an image? So Carbon Crane evaluated my own website.
Yeah. I if you want, I can share one of the result what we found, but maybe
Yeah,
later in discussion.
Yeah, go for it. I can reduce it by a lot. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Then let's just show you. So this is it. So what we do, this is just an insight, what we do and how we do it. So we're basically focusing on the different components of the website. And our big focus is on images, because this is the component which you can reduce without compromising the website quality. You usually can't touch the code behind the website because it's, security reasons or whatever. You can't touch the content because the videos should be re-edited, and it's usually a content management kind of issue. So what we do is we are focusing on the pictures. There are so many of them, and they are usually quite big. And what we found on Sora's website, it was this picture. One of them is twice as big as the other. And I'm just curious whether you can tell me which one is the big one, the original one. The other one, we just reduced it together with Sora. So it was a kind of pilot, what we have done together. If you can raise your hand, if you think that the left-hand side is the big one.
Oh, we got one person.
It's only one person. Okay.
2 people.
In the meantime, let me tell you that it's an average 15 seconds what a visitor would spend on a website. And this 15 seconds is usually not dedicated only to the picture of the website or on that website. So it's quite a limited time. You have to judge whether it's the big picture or a small one. Well, I revealed the results. So the left-hand side picture was the smaller one, and the right one was the big one, the original one. And if I couldn't tell the difference. Maybe you can tell, but I couldn't tell the difference. So this is what we are doing. This is how we are helping our clients to reduce the carbon emissions and improve their energy efficiency. It's just one example. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's have T introduce yourself.
Hi, let me just share my screen so you can all have a look. So lovely to meet you all. I am T. Gamble. I'm the founder and CEO of Improvability. I'll just show you a quick slide of what we do. So I want everyone to go back to what it was like before. We used to write all these documents in typing. Now we use laptops, but still it is so manual. In the world of sustainability, the entire industry is drowning in reporting. 50%, every large corporate we've spoken to, 50% of their job is writing a report. Investors, there is $40 trillion going into climate. So much information on companies they're lending to, but actually the process in which to make a decision is currently very, very manual. This needs, some of the processes need to get automated. And then companies applying for financing, whether it's investments, grants, or loans, that process is incredibly slow. and incredibly manual. To put together documents to apply for any loan or grant or investment, it takes a very, very long time. So what we're doing at Improvability is automating that to save you time and bureaucracy. You've heard that thing called Doge. Well, actually, in sustainability, it is absolutely a mess. There's too much inefficiency, and it's time to get rid of the inefficiency. That's what AI is about. So let's take what is happening in the government in the US government, and let's apply it to our sector, because we radically need to improve. And so that's what we do at Improvability. We focus on, at the moment, long-form due diligence reporting, but we're creating a template, a library of public sustainability reports, for example, TCFD, SFDR, CSRD, where you can pick a report and you can, of course, organizations have a lot of data. You put that in a vector database and the AI will write the entire document. Of course, we believe that a human is essential, someone with a deep knowledge, and whether you're the consultant, whether you're someone sitting in the team making that lending or investment decision, you will critically analyze the information. But the time gathering the data and writing that document, we're radically reducing. So that's what we do at Improvability. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you. All right, and let's have Adrian, and then we will get to some questions for the panel.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everybody. Adrian Smith. I am the co-founder and CEO of Ripple. Ripple is an AI platform that simplifies the collection, management, and reporting of sustainability data. A problem that we're solving for our clients, and our clients are seeing this today, is the deluge of regulations, as T touched upon, but also the complexity of those regulations and the well-documented impact we are seeing today from our customers is that trickle-down effect, whereby they will get requests from their customers, their suppliers, the regulators, investors, or lenders for data in different formats, different required data sets, and trying to manage the process of getting that to their customers is a huge pain for them, whilst also trying to manage a business at the same time. Now, imagine a world where you, in the morning, receive an email from your Ripple AI agent that lets you know that overnight it's processed 15,000 data points from across 1,000 different sources, whether they're suppliers, IoT devices, from smart meters through to invoices, utility bills, insurance documentation, value chain partner policies, et cetera, and that it's automatically calculated all of your greenhouse gas scope 1, 2, and 3, that it's identified 3 risks in your value chain from an employment practice from your suppliers and has requested them update their policies. It's identified a couple of governance issues around insurance liability, say from employers' liability perspective, and has re-requested those from those suppliers. That it is identified from IoT devices such as smart meters that there are 3 opportunities at 2 of your locations to improve energy consumption, and has recommended the next steps into implementing those approaches. It's drafted 3 reports, 1 for your investors, 1 for a regulator on CSRD, and 1 for your key customer who had a bespoke requirement. They're ready for review when you get into the office. And this is the world we're building at Ripple. It's an AI agent ecosystem that simplifies sustainability data management, reduces cost, speeds up time, and reduces risks for our customers.
Wow. So all of your technologies are incredibly powerful. And I wanted to touch briefly on, could you talk about how your technology works and the kind of transformation that we're going through? Where are teams struggling with adopting tools like this in their workflows today?
Shall I go first?
Sure, go for it.
So as I mentioned, we're using Gen AI agent architecture within our business. Now, forgive me if I simplify things, but for us, the use of a Gen AI agent essentially is leveraging large language models to break down complex tasks. We use the task broken down into sub-modules, and each module has a large language model that we reference, and we guide that sub-module through prompting, and we validate the output of those subtasks using a validation framework, because obviously LLMs are error prone, and you have to make, or as AI terminology, I think they hallucinate the output. And you've got to check that. You've got to make sure that that is caught, because if it's componentized in the submodels, then there's a compounding impact if you don't catch a problem first. So it's quite complex, but you're able to handle much more complex tasks rather than, say, process automation or robotic process automation, which is simply a thin guide rail where you say, do this task, and it will then churn that out in a cookie cutter manner, but doesn't have the ability to infer different aspects, which is why we use agents.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
So from our side, we're working with Bank of America. We've been researching agents for about a year, but we built our platform first. And the main demand, because we like to take things step by step, and our customers, the market was ready to actually really understand how generative AI works with their private data, making sure data was private and secure. That was critical first before implementing agents. Agents has been, I'll go into agents in a moment, but the first step in generative AI is gathering data, vectorizing it, organizing information, making sure it's accurate. That is key. If you work with anyone in AI, make sure the data and what the LLM is feeding you is accurate. That's what I would recommend anyone who's working with quite sensitive enterprise data. Once you've done that, you can start creating very interesting and automating some of your workflow. In our case, it tends to be reports, because reports are, the time sunk I spoke about earlier. Where we're going next is agents, and agents are really important for data gathering, but also reminding your suppliers or people you're trying to, again, you need critical information, but they don't know, just making, it's a bit like a nudge, hey, can I have that information? Again, we go to reporting, because a lot of people who need to provide information, all the people down the supply chain hardly speak English. So we're helping them automate their reports because they don't know how to speak English. So if they input their data, it automates a report on what they're doing. So this is how we're really thinking about it. And we're very focused on financial services because they have the capital and also the willingness to move quickly and use, but they're very, very experimental in AI, but they only work with companies that has really thought about the accuracy and the privacy and security. They're not ready for agents just yet from our observation, but I do think in the next year they will be.
And thank you. Yori, I think you had some comments around when you should not use AI and use automation or other tools to accomplish the job.
Yeah, I think I'm the odd one out here because we use very limited AI, and this is not because we hate efficiency, but because we are coming from the sustainability field. So we see the sustainability, the consequences of AI, what impact it has on the energy demand. So you don't really have reliable data from the developers of AI regarding its energy needs. So there are just estimations by experts, but there are quite huge figures related to the energy consumption of AI, and a part of that is definitely has an impact on the carbon emissions as well. This is one part where we really considering very carefully what part of our service should include an AI solution. The other thing is much simpler, whether we need it at all. Because there are some very simple processes when you don't really need the AI, the help of AI, because it can't really speed it up. Plus, when you have to check whether it hallucinates or not, these are questions you have to deal with. So what we do is we carefully evaluate the elements of our processes and make sure that we are using it only where it's really needed and it adds to the current methodology or current process.
Thank you. In the interest of time, actually, Charlie, I think you can lead with this next question. Proving the ROI of sustainability initiatives remains a critical challenge for many organizations. How does your technology address this issue? And could you share examples of how your solutions help organizations identify what's working, what isn't, and drive impactful actions for both financial and environmental outcomes? And as a company that is directly impacting compliance, I think you have something to say.
Well, I certainly hope so, Sarah. Thank you for setting me up like that. Guys, yeah, it's really interesting. We the experience that we've had with our tool, which I should say is very much in a prototype stage at this point, but we have had we've done numerous demos with our signatories on the use of our tool. And I think the thing that's, you're talking about ROI, the thing that's fascinating, and it touches upon the last question as well in terms of workflow. The real value to our clients in what we're building is the fact that by utilizing this tool, they are able to essentially be recognized as implementing best practice when it comes to compliance and best practice when it comes to anti-greenwashing practices, if you like. And that is the thing that, sustainability communications is going through a really difficult time at the moment. The rise of green hushing alongside greenwashing is something that's plaguing us as an agenda. And ultimately what we need in order to invigorate communication around sustainability, which is only going to aid the collective improvement that we need to see in some of these things. We need to find tools and ways of encouraging people to talk more and to share more, and that is what we're ultimately trying to achieve with our software.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any outstanding examples, ROI?
I do.
All right, go for it.
From our customers, we are seeing 5 emerging themes from an ROI on AI usage. The first one is time saving. The second is cost. The third is operational efficiency. Then there's reputational improvement. And finally, ratings improvement. So from a time perspective, we're seeing one of our customers, for example, is processing over 10,000 vehicle fleet fuel invoices, and they saved the time spent on that by 90%. And another customer is aggregating data for a particular regulatory report and have reduced the time that they took to gather that data last year from 10 weeks to under 1 week. From a cost perspective, because we can produce reports once the data is centralized within minutes, such as a CSRD report, a particular investor report, or a customer questionnaire, and only having, once that's produced, only having a minimum amount of advisory review on that, you can slash your advisory costs associated with that. Operational efficiency. So we're ingesting a lot of data at the moment from a procured goods perspective and handling the scope 3 calculations on that. But knowing that there are core business processes across all organizations, we see there's an optimization opportunity there. And we're taking from our customers that procured goods information, processing the financial information, inserting that into their account system, and essentially we're circumnavigating their accounts payable process, releasing the staff that were reading those invoices and typing it in to do more valuable activities for that customer. From a reputational perspective, because we engage in our platform a community of value chain members, they're sharing primary data. It's not estimates, it's not proxies, so that the greenwashing, the great job that Charlie and his tour are doing regarding identifying greenwashing or surfacing greenwashing claims, we're able, because we have the data behind it shared directly from partners with documentation as an evidence base, it reduces that risk for our customers. And the final one regarding ratings, one of our customers recently just had a refreshed rating from a global sustainability ratings agency, and it got improved with the fact they're using Ripple cited as the reason, because it's managing the ingestion, the management, and the reporting. So we see those 5 areas as our ROI.
Awesome. And it's time for some quick audience Q&A. I'm also going to share those resources again. Anyone who would like to ask a question, would you like to raise your hand? If not, I have someone submitted a question via email. So, okay, I'll start with that. How should businesses ensure the security of company data and financials when using AI and automation tools?
Yeah, privacy and security of data is one of our core principles, and we had that in mind from the very beginning. And we spoke to every large CTO out there for enterprises in different sectors. And for them, it was absolutely critical that their data was stored on AWS. AWS ensures that if you're a large entity, I'll give you an example, the largest architectural firm in the world, their CTO, architectural data is highly sensitive. If you know how someone can enter a building, that's highly, sensitive information. So AWS, every time they've done a pen test, it's been very secure. They are notified every time someone's trying to get access to their information. So we go back to, what do enterprises use to secure their data? We applied that principle, and it was using AWS. They are very, very secure. They feel secure on AWS, and that's why we're partnered with them.
And actually, along those lines, in the resources section, I found a page on AWS that was discussing how we should be building these platforms. And the second half of the panel, Impact, is coming up soon. But there were a lot of really great tips for builders. So make sure to check that out. All right, anyone else have thoughts on security?
I think if I can.
Yeah.
I think you've also got to treat data the way you would internally, right? Whether it's critical, whether it's sensitive, and you can leverage AWS's infrastructure, but you also have to build your own validation on top of that. I think there's a partnerial approach with AWS, but it's just, choosing a company that is reputable and treats data in the way that, the data mandates itself, whether it's sensitive or critical data. You need then to have the right policies and processes in place to manage that data, I would say.
Yeah, another thing I saw was, on the front end of these interfaces, you can, I hear of companies putting in blocks where, if they detect certain sensitive information is being entered by a user, they ask the user if they would really like to, or they have admin override for those requests. All right, and another question, I don't see any other questions from the audience, but I heard the question, how do small businesses adopt tools like this? A lot of you are speaking to enterprises, but we want to give as many people access as possible. What do you all think about small business?
Because our vision is to become almost the Canva for reporting, we actually started off with large companies just for the brand sort of equity, but our vision is to enable someone who works at the very end of the supply chain to write a report. I'm from Mongolia. I've worked in a factory. I grew up in Britain, but it's very, very difficult if you work in a factory to write a report and sell something to Europe when you don't know how to speak English. So our users, we have that in mind, literally from the day one. So our users at the end, our scaling strategy and our vision is to make sure someone in a factory can sell their product into Europe, because if they don't write a report, they're not going to be able to. So it will be a must. And so that's how we're really thinking about it for our users.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to move into the impact section of our panel now. We all know the environmental impact of AI and automation is significant. It's a growing concern, particularly with energy demands of compute and data processing. How are you managing these impacts throughout the product lifecycle, from design and user experience to cloud partner selection? And what best practices have you adopted to minimize energy consumption, optimize resource efficiency, and align your business with sustainability goals?
Look, you can't avoid the fact that using GPUs to process large language models is energy intensive. And as a lean startup, we're managing our cloud infrastructure to make sure that it's as minimal as possible when using these large language models. It's inevitability that the energy consumption is high, but like with, and as these things evolve, like with Ethereum in the blockchain world, when they produced the merge to significantly reduce energy consumption for blockchain usage, we are seeing certainly around processor development improvements in that space. And as soon as those are proven, we will adopt those certainly as a policy within our organization.
I would just echo those same sentiments of agents there. I mean, personally think that we are in a slightly clumsy, challenging stage of the development of the sustainability agenda as a whole. And we have to make, ultimately the best, most informed decisions as we can as we go along in terms of the way that we build these tools. But ultimately, I think reflecting on some of the brilliant startups that are being talked about here today, I think we can all see that the potential impact and net positive of these tools is certainly worth persevering with, as we hope that these technological advances enable some of these issues around data, energy usage, etc., to be dissipated to a certain extent. So yeah, I'd concur with Adrian's point. I think everybody's got a right to service and a right to operate in terms of the great work that everybody's doing today.
One thing I would like to do for my business, and I want to do this, I'm working on my sustainability report for 2024, is evaluate all of the technology providers that I work with, and where I see issues, create a letter and send them a letter. And I will be posting these letters once I'm able to finish them. But I just shared in the chat, I found Google is investing in air-based cooling systems. And this was actually driven by an activist in Chile. Time reported on it. And there's a couple other resources related to regulation in the works, as well as what Microsoft is doing for water usage. I think I heard someone else try to talk.
There's one more thing to add. Sorry, just back to the AI and the energy needs. So I think there are two approaches here, and I'm not against AI. That's very important. So I absolutely can understand that if someone has the idea and AI is needed for that, and they build the massive infrastructure for that, or the first prototype or whatever, and then they start to streamline it and find the solutions how to reduce the energy need of that AI, that's okay. I absolutely can accept that. And I just want to put here that we can, so there's not one AI. There are AIs which are quite, which were quite reduced energy needs. So there are optimization possibilities here as well. So the same kind of performance can be delivered with less energy need. And there are efforts made in order to use these kind of low energy needs AI and to develop those kind of AI. So I think that's a good track too. Our approach is a bit different. So we are building blocks of our services, and when we go to the next block, as I told you, first we need to decide whether we need or not, and then so we don't do this big and then streamline it. We're just trying to keep it low.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, to answer that question, what we're seeing practically, so our board members are on the boards of a lot of AI companies, invest across the ecosystem from data centers and other parts of the value chain. And what we're seeing is that actually it's a lot of the real estate community that have gone into data centers. And the real estate community really appreciate efficiency of how to use water, how to have alternative sources of energy. So that's what we're observing, is that the data centers and the operators of data centers tend to have a real estate background and have thought about energy, water for quite some time. The large tech companies also have a requirement on which type of data centers they work with. So that's what's happening at an infrastructure level. And I think we as an application layer, using AI to find out if we're working with the right LLM is one of the ways we can go about it. But it is really happening at the infrastructure layer. And it is very, very public. A lot of these, infrastructure deals are pretty public. So you can use AI to find information pretty quickly. So due diligence on the companies you're working with is one of the ways you can leverage AI to make sure you're working with the right people.
Awesome. And then on the social side of things, We know that this is transforming rapidly. How are you ensuring a human-centric approach to development and deployment of technology? This may include stakeholder inclusion upfront, addressing workforce impacts, and enabling customers to deploy solutions responsibly with an upskilling plan in place. Feel free to share your challenges as well.
So as part of our offering, we have a value chain community concept within the platform. So each company can connect with each other. It becomes a web. And what we're seeing from some of our customers is that they're delegating responsibility to individual staff members, which starts to initiate a cultural change in organizations. For example, one company we're working with has over 10,000 staff, many of whom work in disparate locations around the world, say forklift drivers or truck drivers or other employees, and each one now adds in their own commute, their own business travel, or their own usage of a vehicle if they're using a vehicle, and it starts to embed in the staff that knowledge that they're actually contributing to a larger impact, and they feel as though they're part of the company and integrating within the company's strategic intention, and also sharing data across value chain partners. Starts to get a collaboration between different members of the value chain to drive bigger outcomes. We're working with one entertainment company whose audiences we're developing an app for, whereby they can start to track their commute to an event, for example. And what that does is start to engage the audience in the sustainability narrative of that organization and helps their reputation improve. But it's sort of a community vibe. I'll be quiet now.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll just jump in. It's obviously in a very different context, but I think one of the things that's been really exciting for us about the conversations that we've had with the CSOs that we've been demoing our platform with is the sense of liberation. I think it was T earlier that was talking about the fact that there's lots of CSOs out there that are drowning under the regulatory compliance and reporting, which is obviously what improvability are looking to address, which is fantastic. I think one of the other areas that we've picked up on is the amount of checking that's being required by heads of sustainability and CSOs of marketing, advertising, communication materials that are likely to be published, and how this is a real issue for CSOs to actually have to get on and do some more innovative, creative work themselves. So for us, the feedback that we've had is that our tool is going to enable those CSOs to essentially feel like they really do have an assistant and support in ensuring that their marketing and comms teams are communicating about the organization in the most appropriate manner. And then on the other side for us, the slightly disgruntled looking marketing directors that at times we've had conversations with, as soon as they realize that actually there's benefit in the recognition that our process and our software enables for responsible practice to have been followed by using the AI that we've developed, that is the value, if you like, to them, and the reason why they're looking to adopt it and factor it into their own workflows. So for us, it's been quite an interesting experience of looking at the kind of intentions and the motivations of our two aligned but distinct groups that we're going after.
Yeah, what we've observed over the last year is, I think a lot of people have realized they need to leverage AI in their work. Otherwise, and companies have realized that to even stay relevant, to compete. So in fact, we've had an amazing sense of we want to learn. It's okay not to know everything, but we've had the attitude of we really want to learn and make sure we're using the most advanced technology and to do our work. And it has been with internal data. So the reason why we didn't go out initially with the public reporting, automating that, is because it's public reporting. It's going to be scrutinized by governments, so we actually started off with internal due diligence, stuff that is internal, and it is lower risk for teams to upskill about generative AI and later on down the line agents, but really upskill themselves and be prepared and be confident that they understand what they're doing. And then we believe that it will become so embedded in their workflow that they'll start to think about public reporting. But we really thought about it in steps, and because we appreciate some of the challenges they're going through, which is there's so much happening. How do we make sure we've got the basics right? And that's really important. Working with your customers, making sure that they've got the basics right, and the teams can ask really fundamental questions, because the skill, different people have different skill sets within the team, even making sure everyone's updated. And so that's what we found over the last year.
All right, anyone else? And then I do have an audience question. All right, so if anyone else has audience questions, feel free to send them through, but I'll ask this first one. And full disclosure, I skipped this question earlier because we're running out of time, but we'll come back to it. So let's talk about the architecture of automation to AI agents. What does that mean? And what do these data systems look like? Specifically, is there one mass amount of data that all the AIs are kind of pulling from, or how are we separating these systems? Can you give some basics definitions on the digital transformation and infrastructure that we are looking at? Go for it, T.
Okay, so LLMs, every LLM, I don't know about you guys, but when I ask a question in general LLMs, the answers are pretty much, it's rudimentary. It's giving an answer that someone with very little knowledge has. And that's what we expect from LLMs, is general knowledge. It's someone...
And that's a large language model.
Yes. So it's like a primary school level answer to something, general knowledge that everyone should have, at least with that much information. What we find is that applications or very specific use cases are even more advanced and have, high degree of accuracy at a PhD level, perhaps not a Einstein level, but a PhD level of accuracy in its results. When you input the right information, you have to train the information on quite a lot of data that so that it becomes an expert. But if you don't give that data, it will know very little. So that's really the principle to take with anything you do in generative AI. Make sure that it is very specific on whatever you're researching on. You have to give it quite a lot of context. An LLM will not do the trick for you if it's in your work. It might do the trick to find out about Taylor Swift, but it won't help you do your job.
And these data models don't have to be searching the entire internet for their information. They can be essentially like a walled garden that your company creates of a mass of data. It's not all one mass that we're pulling from.
I think that's right. I also think that part of the guidance that you have through prompting LLMs drives a more accurate outcome. So yes, the LLM has a finite output, but if you guide it through that prompting environment, then the output typically is more accurate. But I think the question was it, Sarah, around the disparate data sets and whether you're leveraging different data
It's
sets?
more about definitions of AI. What does the infrastructure look like from someone with zero experience, as they said?
I mean, certainly from our usage, again, it's using those prompts to guide an LLM and validating what comes out of the end to ensure the accuracy, pulling in data sets. As T rightly said, the accuracy of that data is critical. But and it's interesting that the skill sets required are often now becoming more data science focused rather than having a pure coding background. And that's kind of where there's a skills gaps that I see developing, where companies, certainly our customers that we're talking to, don't have the skills internally, and there's not a great amount in the market, which is causing challenges across the board.
Yeah, and I think similar to software platforms that exist today across the market, we've had a major rise in the demand for user experience and workflow design, engagement design. We have new modes of interacting with AI now, where you can freeform text input, you can voice input, even touch input in the future, we're going to need a massive demand for user experience designers, because right now it is pretty freeform and we are using too much data in some cases. So I think that the technology is moving faster and being deployed faster than we're actually considering how people are interacting with it. So I wanted to say thank you everyone for joining today. Here's all the panelists' information. Let's do a quick round, one final sentence, and then we'll head into breakout rooms. Y'all can network with each other.
Look, I think there are huge advantages. Yes, the sustainability element of using AI, particularly LLMs, it needs to be addressed. But for companies operating certainly in the sustainability space that are finding challenges, I think it's a great solution. And they should adopt the technology if they've got the resources internally, or they should partner with somebody who aligns with them, has walked in their shoes, and simplifies things.
All right, T.
We designed improvability to help large companies, but also smaller ones. So if you're really trying to understand how to even begin, whether you're a consultant, working for large enterprises, or you're working at a bank, you're trying to figure out how your team's using it for lending or investment purposes, please get in touch. We're happy to take you through it. And then our platform's super easy to use, and I think that's why companies like us. So we're happy to also take you down that journey. And trust is really important in this space, like any other space. And it's really lovely to meet everyone on this panel as well, and excited to collaborate as well.
All right, Yoryi.
Me too. I'm absolutely excited to cooperate. And I just have one word in mind, which is accuracy. I think everybody touched this word, and I think it's very important to avoid greenwashing, very important to have a good reporting. What we can add to the work of those companies who are preparing their ESG reporting is to include the digital carbon emissions and with credible figures and accurate figures. So this is why I'm encouraging everybody to have this included in the sustainability strategy as well.
And Charlie.
And I just thought I'd say, in light of what have been some fairly difficult circumstances, most recently from a geopolitical perspective when it comes to the sustainability agenda, I just want to flag a sort of a sense of optimism and hopefulness around where we're headed with this. Yes, there are teething issues and everything's a bit clumsy when it comes to our utilization of AI to address some of the sustainability issues at play. But ultimately, the sense I get from the conversations I've had is that we are now embarking upon the adoption of a set of tools that perhaps haven't even been developed yet, that will ultimately give us the very best chance of addressing some of the big issues at play here. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that we're all interested and all collectively working towards realizing some of those outcomes. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to the rest of the panelists for sharing their really interesting businesses. And I'm, as I say, Sarah, really thankful to you for inviting us along as well.
Thank you. And thank you everyone in the audience for attending. We do have a couple panelists ready to go for our February event, with more to be added soon. We will be focusing on sustainability's triple win, driving corporate culture, talent retention, and growth. So join us on February 20th. Scan the QR code, and we will also be including this in the follow-up email, so no worries.